My mother used to say, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you need to do it. And I think that was very wise of her, because I was a very good student and I was very good at this research I was doing. But as I was driving to my first job talk at NYU, I got very sick on the way. And I actually ended up in a hospital instead of at my job talk, quite ill, because I realized that I had sort of pummeled down this path because I was really good at it, but not because I had chosen to do it. And I couldn't choose to walk away in a way that was sort of normal, because I felt this incredible obligation to my mentors. I felt that if I did not go off and take the academic path, that I was going to be failing everybody around me. My parents, the mentors who had put a lot of time into me. So my body chose for me. And I decided, well, you know, I'm sick now. I had to cancel my job talks. I'm going to have to take some time off, and then I'll come back down that path, because obviously that's what I'm supposed to do. I just need to get healthy. So in that time when I was getting healthy, I actually had just gotten married, and my husband had a house in Columbus, Montana. And so off we went from Philadelphia, and we moved into this house that cost $11,000, and I'm pretty sure that it was a ripoff. And I had just literally turned my back on my life and truly run away from graduate school. And I said, oh my gosh, I need some money. And it turned out my brother informed me that there were some poker games in Billings, Montana, and given that I had watched him play some poker before, maybe that would be a way for me to make a little bit of money while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So off I drove. It was about a 45-minute drive, and I sat down in the poker game, and I started playing. And it was a moment where I finally found my passion. That moment, the first hand that got dealt to me, I realized that this is what I was supposed to be doing. Because all the things that I was trying to find to do in graduate school through cognitive science, which was these applications of, you know, decision science and game theory and math and all of this stuff, you know, all of a sudden had this incredible practical application in this competitive game that was unsolvable. And the reason why this game is unsolvable is because you are making decisions under conditions where you don't have complete information. You can't see your opponent's cards. So unlike a game like chess where you can see the whole position, this is a game which can't be solved. And that's what I was looking for, something that I couldn't conquer, something that I couldn't become perfect at, or whatever perfect was. I wanted something that was going to challenge me for my whole life, and that I was going to have to continue to engage in this learning process, and I would feel like I was engaged in learning something new every single day. And I found that day that I sat down at the poker table, and this was a really weird choice for me to be taking. There were no women playing the game. Literally. This was a game that was very outside the norms of society. And so I really had to believe in my passion in order to engage in that. And thank God for my parents, who were very supportive, even in the face of me dropping out of graduate school, because they allowed me to pursue this. And in my first month, I made $2,800. And my NSF fellowship was $13,000 a year, so this seemed like more money than I could ever possibly figure out how to spend. And within a year, I was competing in the World Series of Poker, and I had already cashed in the main event, and I made $70,000 in a month in my first year playing the World Series of Poker. And I thought, well, it turns out that I can do my passion and actually make a living too. Aren't I the luckiest person in the world? So I continued to do that, and I was making a good living, and flash forward to 2003, and all of a sudden someone comes around with a camera. So I realized at that moment that a gift had been given to me. I think this has a lot to do with going with the flow. And the opportunity that I found that I had was to be able to connect back to the things that I really loved about teaching. Because what I realized was I had been given a platform to start to give back to the world what I had really learned from poker. And what I had learned from poker is this idea that if you're making decisions under conditions of uncertainty, that this is really a really good metaphor for life. Because that's really all that life is. You have to make decision after decision after decision where you don't have all the information, and that if you really understand the game of poker, that you can actually translate it out into other things that you're doing. So I want to share with you one of the things that I've learned from this wonderful game, because it's given me so much in my life, and I like to share that back with people. So one of the great things about poker is that the feedback loop is really fast. So in life, you can make a bad decision, and you might not find out it was a bad decision for like 5 or 10 years down the road, right? And sometimes like you marry somebody and you don't realize it was a bad decision for like 10 years, and then you go, oops, that was a really bad decision. Or, you know, you could, for example, decide that you should bundle bad mortgages together, and that might seem like a really good decision initially, but maybe like 5 years after you decide that, maybe you realize you've ruined the American economy, but it was like a long time ago. And so it can take a long time in life for bad decisions actually to realize, and it's hard to connect up the outcomes with the bad decision when the bad decision is a really long time ago. But in poker, it happens right away. Like you put your chips in the pot, and it's a bad decision, and then you lose all your money, and you go, damn, like 30 seconds later. And so we could learn a lot because the feedback loop in poker is really, really fast. So you're being offered all this really great feedback in poker, and you can really learn from your failures really quickly and correct. So, but what I noticed was as I was watching other players play, because, you know, I would try to sort of figure out like what makes a successful poker player and what makes someone not successful, what I would realize is that you'd always hear a poker player say the same thing. When they'd lose, they'd say, ah, I was so unlucky. And when they'd win, they'd say, I'm the greatest player ever. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, right? Because it seems like it should be a combination of both things both times. Like if you win, you probably played pretty well, but maybe you had some really lucky things happen to you. And so in order to sort of preserve their sort of psychological well-being in some weird way, they're not taking advantage of all the feedback that they're giving in order to be able to improve. Because they don't want to admit that they may have failed. Because failure is really scary. And if they would just be more open to what they were being given, which was a huge gift from the game, then they could become better players. And so I would watch these people's games stagnate, and I would watch them and I would know exactly what it was that was making them stagnate because they weren't willing to listen to what they were being told from the game. So I started watching what people do in real life, and I realized that people do the exact same in real life. So we're given the gift of failure in this life, and we've heard that as a theme throughout this wonderful adventure. And we're given the gift of failure, and when things go badly in our life, it's a really big gift. But people have a tendency to assume it's because of bad luck or just bad things happen to them or I'm so unlucky, and it's a terrible thing to say. Because what it means is that if you're just unlucky and bad things just happen to you, that there's nothing to be learned from it, and you're just turning your back on a gift that's been given to you. So what I want to leave you with is that poker's been an incredible gift to me because it's not just allowed me to be a better decision maker at the table, but it's allowed me to be a better decision maker in life because there's all these lessons that I can learn about how to take advantage of things that are happening in my life and turn them into positives. When good things happen to you, it's some sort of combination of luck and skill, just as it is in poker, and it's your job to figure out what that combination is. But likewise, when things go badly, it's also some combination of luck and skill, and it's your job to figure out what combination that is. And it doesn't matter whether it happened to you or it happened to anybody else. So that's what I wanted to give to you because poker has given me that gift, and that's the gift that I wanted to share back with you.